wood, one thing I'm going to do is get these 2x6s, screw 2 of them together, and get 4 of them to add a pillar to make that shelf on. So I'm going to start with that first. So before I get into making this masterpiece, I wanted to put a timestamp down below to go ahead and skip building this framing up and just go ahead and get straight to the chair. Some of the tools that I was using is a drill to screw in some stuff and to drill out some holes. And I was also using a circular saw. Other tools I was using was a chop saw just to make it a little bit easier and precise, and a jigsaw for some of the more precise cuts where I was cutting out halfway of the wood for it to interlock, and a digital protractor. But you don't have to actually use a digital protractor because there's multiple apps that you can use your actual phone to figure out the levels of things. So here we go with the shenanigans. So I got my pillars cut out. They're a little over 64 inches each. I got 2 pairs next to each other, how they're gonna be secured together. And then I got 50 inches in between for where the couch is gonna be at. And now what I measured is a crossed, because I'm gonna make an X for stability. And it's about 84.5 inches from point to point. Got those cut out. And now what I'm gonna do is lay that on top and then cut off whatever's overhanging from this corner. So now that I got the cross support cut out to fit flush with it, I put it on top of each other and then marked out where it overlapped at and cut halfway through so that they can interlock. So after I do that, put it on, screw it together, and then I'm going to measure this out and then cut that part out, mark out here so that this can sit flush down in there with the rest of it. So now that I got this all notched out and sitting in there pretty flush, I'm gonna start working on the front section for the front 2 beams and then measure out about the same X pattern, but for the sides to go towards the front. So now that we got the back side all figured out, we're working on the sides. This is where the back is, and I'm doing the same crisscross pattern like I am doing on the back, and I marked off any kind of overhang, trim that off, and I also marked where they overlap at so I can cut that same halfway down on each so that they made up perfectly. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that with those, and I already got those marked out for the other side, and I'll get back with you. So now that I got these notched out so that they interlock here, what I'm gonna do with these is open these back up, and I'm gonna take this width, half out of one side, half out of the other, so it sits perfectly right in the center of this sandwich. One thing that's really been helping me is writing down where it goes, because with so many different puzzle pieces all trying to fit back together, it gets kind of confusing. So here you can kind of better visualize. I opened up these beams and then I rested this in there so that it's not overlapping anywhere. And I got a Sharpie and traced that out. So now that I got the one side notched out, I laid it back in the groove where it's going to be resting at. Laid this back on top and then marked out up underneath where it's going to be lined up at to cut out half from the other side. Both halves of the pillars notched out for the 2x4. I'm going to send some screws in to secure these back together Also a couple in the cross section, and then where the cross section also attaches to the pillars, I'm gonna put some screws in to attach those two together also. So now that I got both sides of the bracings done up, I'm gonna scoot this all out so I can get to the back of it and screw in the back to the sides, and then start figuring out about the bracing for up top. So for the bracing up top, I went ahead with that nice X pattern, halfway cut through on both of them so that they interlocked, and then I just put a beam going from side to side. Next, it's gonna be building on the chair. So using that chart online, it doesn't really say where a good level ground is gonna be. It kind of just gives you the dimensions off the back to the legs to the feet and the arms, and it shows all those angles that I'm gonna show up on the screen right now. So what I went ahead and did is I just got a sheet of wood and put it up against the wall and tried to figure out a good lean angle, which I ended up being about 45 degrees with this cushion that I got from a busted up old office chair that I ended up salvaging the back and the seat off of. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that on here that I got all nice braced up, and we'll go from there. So factoring out the 45 degrees that I have for the back, the seat, what I measured out to be, is 7 degrees. So that's this sliver that I have here is 7 degrees. So we're gonna put the seat on, show you how that looks, and then we'll get back with you. So now that I got the back and the seat done up, next thing is the legs. Again, using that chart that I found online, factor in the dimensions and angles that I have now, it's gonna be about a 45 degree angle. So I'm gonna put that on, and that's gonna be the last piece that I have for this. Other things that are on the chart are the arms and the feet, hands, head. I'm gonna do just put a pillow up there for the head, but I'm not gonna really factor in the arms or the feet. I just wanted the basic amount right now. So some things that I changed about this setup is to get the back to lean down a little bit more, so that the front kind of picks up a little bit more, so you're sitting more in a pocket. Next I'm gonna have to build a way to actually get up here, and I'm gonna build a support for the legs, because right now it's kind of just a sheet of wood screwed into these 4x4s here. But when you look at zero gravity gaming chairs, they're multiple thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands of dollars. So to be able to build this for the free at a scrap wood, that stuff people are just gonna throw away, was gonna be nice. Another thing I'm gonna make is a mouse pad for up here, because since I didn't go ahead with the arm dimensions build onto the zero gravity chair, I'm gonna have to build a little mouse pad for up here. Thank you for tuning in.